Let me share a key insight about truly perceiving others. We invest countless hours observing people, critiquing them, shaping our views, and determining their identity and value. Yet, much of what we perceive is mere facade and facade. We witness the show, the facade, the meticulously crafted persona that individuals' music display to society. And we confuse this with the authentic truth. However, there are merely two elements, two straightforward ones, that will reveal a person's genuine essence, not what they claim to be, not what they aspire to become or what they desire you to perceive, but their core reality beneath all the facade and showmanship. The initial aspect to observe is their conduct when no personal gain is involved, when no crowd needs impressing, no prize is at stake, no benefit awaits. Do they persist in appearing? Do they continue to demonstrate concern? Do they maintain integrity and compassion? Or does the entire display crumble once the attention shifts elsewhere? Consider this. Many folks prove remarkably music admirable when it aligns with their goals. The vendor is engaging when seeking your purchase. The leader shows empathy when courting your support. The partner is devoted when pursuing your warmth. But once the exchange concludes, when no further value can be extracted from you, that's when the disguise falters. That's when the actual individual emerges, possibly bewildered that pretense must linger post-transaction. Observe how someone interacts with the server after the meal arrives. Note their tone toward those without influence over them, who provide nothing tangible, who are just fellow humans in their presence, music. I recall observing a fellow at a diner one time. He seemed prominent, or at least believed so. Music, high status role, lavish attire, the full spectacle. He shared a meal with a peer of similar stature, music, one who might boost his professional path. The display was something to behold, the grins, the chuckles, the deliberate focus on every utterance from his associate. He embodied perfect courtesy and attentiveness. Yet, as the server approached to top off his glass, he barely lifted his gaze. Music. When the assistant accidentally nudged his seat, he barked a retort mid-discussion with the influential guest. The youth delivering extra rolls could have been a ghost, and in those fleeting instances, he dismissed as insignificant, his authentic nature surfaced. Music. For character isn't defined by actions under scrutiny. It's shaped by deeds when no notable eyes are upon you, when no acclaim is possible, no status needs safeguarding, no contest demands victory. That's the moment authenticity surfaces. Like liquid seeking equilibrium, music. The next element to monitor, which holds equal weight, is what tickles their fancy, what prompts their chuckles. Not the courteous snickers of polite gatherings, but the unfiltered, erupting mirth that escapes when restraint slips. Laughter ranks among our most sincere traits, music. When a person guffaws at malice, at others' hardships, at quips that belittle and erode, you glimpse something tangible. They might profess ideals of empathy and benevolence, music. They could eloquently advocate for equity and uprightness, but if they chortle at another's agony, derive amusement from degradation, music, or revel in pettiness masked as cleverness, then you discern the true occupant of their soul. I knew a lady once who endlessly proclaimed her affinity for humankind, music, her commitment to aiding fellow souls, her enlightened essence. Her collection boasted the ideal tomes, her thoughts the proper philosophies. But she would cackle, truly cackle, at tales of diminishing others, at accounts of someone else's mortifying mishap, her gaze sparkling. When rumors veered vicious, she drew nearer. And there she stood, the unvarnished self, unveiled in those candid bursts of amusement. Because speech can be reined in, your persona can be curated, you can project whatever facade suits your aims, but laughter is reflexive. It springs from a place beyond calculated thought, a realm truer than the staged identity. Reveal what sparks someone's glee, music, and I'll illuminate their deepest priorities, disclose what they deem humorous, and I'll expose their fundamental worldview and attitudes toward humanity. The one who beams with real delight at benevolence, at life's quirks, at its whimsical purity, they unveil something lovely. The one who mocks anguish, frailty, others' battles, they disclose a starkly different core. Music. You may argue this feels overly basic. Grasping a person's nature must involve more than eyeing two factors. Music. Indeed, we humans are intricate beings. We harbor amidst crowds of people. Music. We often clash with our own natures. We're able to display harshness and empathy, occasionally within the span of a single day. Yet these aspects, how individuals act without any reward on the line, and what truly sparks their humor, slice right through the layers of intricacy. They sidestep the calculating thoughts, the calculated persona, the crafted facade. They expose what emerges when the reins loosen, when defenses lower, when someone just exists without striving to appear otherwise. Consider it from this angle. Everyone you encounter is enacting a character to a certain extent. They're embodying the role of the thriving expert, the loyal companion, the questing soul, the worldly individual, or whichever persona they've built up. And many of these acts can be quite persuasive. Folks can sustain them for decades. But sustaining the act demands energy. It calls for focus. It demands recalling the script and nailing the cues. And there come instances, fleeting ones, when the strain eases, when they overlook the pretense, when they just respond instinctively. Those instants without any upside, that's when the facade slips away. Why feign politeness to the server? Why show warmth to the custodian? Why accord respect to the person on the street? No advantage awaits. Thus, if the courtesy was merely a disguise, it vanishes. But if the warmth stems from a core beyond tactics, then it persists. It emerges effortlessly, since being gentle isn't a chore, it's innate. And those bursts of amusement, they're just as unfiltered. Chuckles arise too swiftly for the tactical intellect to intercept. They burst forth before you can ponder the optics or the implications. Music. Thus, they uncover what's truly present beneath the meticulous buildup of appearances. I'm not referring to rare lapses. We all endure rough patches. We all have spells of irritability or absent-mindedness. What I mean is the recurring trend, the steady manner in which a person appears when they deem the situation insignificant, the automatic reply they offer to others, music, suffering, or delight. I once knew a professor from long ago, renowned for his insight and empathy. Learners journeyed from afar to study under him. Music. He articulated eloquently on affection, insight, and the unity of existence. For quite some time, I held him in high regard. But eventually, I began observing minor details. How he overlooked those preparing his food and tidying his space. How he brushed off inquiries from pupils he viewed as dimmer. How he snickered, a biting sort of guffaw, at errors or displays of ineptitude. Slowly, it dawned on me that his eloquent phrases were merely music phrases. The authentic individual, the one surfacing absent any gain from embodying the sage educator, was altogether different. Someone intolerant of those music, unable to bolster his persona. Someone who derived enjoyment from others' missteps. The disparity between his act and his essence was so pronounced it verged on absurdity. Here stood a figure, lecturing on empathy, yet regarding those nearby with offhand disregard. Here was someone discoursing on the ego's mirage, all while vigilantly upholding his stature as the awakened guide. And the most poignant element wasn't his duplicity, painful as that was. The deepest sorrow lay in his apparent conviction in his own act. He regarded the character he portrayed as his true self. This occurs when we overlook these two indicators. We immerse ourselves in the narratives others spin about themselves. We accept the show at face value. We mistake the performer for the part. Then, we find ourselves stunned when the individual we assumed we understood reveals a wholly alien side. But observe their conduct when no benefit accrues and astonishment fades. Music, clarity emerges. You grasp precisely with whom you're engaging. And if you discern what stirs their unbridled mirth, what prompts chuckles beyond restraint, you'll perceive what's truly residing in their core. Now, an intriguing observation. Once you begin scrutinizing these two facets, you'll inevitably turn the lens inward. You'll spot instances of curtness toward those unable to further your aims. You'll detect your own amusement at something harsh or petty. In such revelations, your inherent traits come into view. This proves beneficial, since transformation eludes the unseen. While you're fused with your own act, while you deem your polished exterior your authentic identity, progress stalls. But upon recognizing the divide between the character and the truth, between the feigned self and the real one, then evolution becomes possible. You may uncover greater gentleness in certain respects than anticipated, and lesser in others than presumed. You could discover that the things which tickle your funny bone reveal deeper truths about your principles, ones you haven't fully acknowledged yet. This kind of unflinching self-examination, stripped of excuses, marks the start of genuine transformation, since personality isn't set in stone. It's not an innate trait you're doomed to carry through life. Rather, it's akin to a muscle that strengthens with use. Each instance you resist, chuckling at malice, despite the crowd's amusement, you're actively shaping the person you aspire to become. Yet, it all begins with awareness. You must commit to observing your true actions, rather than the idealized version in your mind or the one you'd prefer. Be ready to spot what genuinely sparks your mirth, not merely what you believe ought to. The principle extends to perceiving those around you as well. True insight into others eludes us if we fixate solely on their polished exteriors. Instead, pay attention to the fleeting instants, the spontaneous responses, the lapses when they drop their facade. That's the raw essence unveiled. So, my proposal is this. Over the coming period, whenever you encounter someone new, observe their interactions with those who offer no advantage. Do they acknowledge the janitor scrubbing the tiles? Express gratitude to the door opener, respond patiently to the kid who butts into their serious discussion, and tune into their sources of laughter? Is their wit kind-hearted or cutting? Do they delight in the quirks of existence or revel in others' stumbles? Do they share chuckles alongside folks or mock from afar? The revelations will surprise you. You'll pierce through countless veneers. You'll grasp individuals with a sharpness that once felt out of reach. And crucially, this practice will sharpen your own self-perception. Mastering the skill of discerning personality boils down to basics. Ignore the polished words, music they utter. Focus instead on what elicits their unguarded glee. All the rest is mere spectacle, props and disguises. But laughter and those subtle behaviors, they'll expose the core reality without fail. Armed with such vision, your decisions gain precision, not swayed by their act, but rooted in their authentic self once the spotlight fades and the crowd disperses. This isn't judgment, it's clarity. It's embracing what's real over illusions. It's realizing that a person's essence shines brightest, not in their declarations, but in those overlooked seconds they dismiss as insignificant. For it's precisely those seconds that matter most of all.